What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. Today we're going to take a break from cleaning up the studio and we're going to head to the shop to do some inventory while we talk about the print run numbers for Kamigawa based on a lot of the things Rudy's been discussing. So I think I have some takes on that. Now, if you've been living under a Magic the Gathering rock over the last couple weeks, what you missed out on is that Hasbro has said that Kamigawa was the 5th set to sell over $100 million in sales this year. And from that, we can take some stabs at what the overall print run is for the first time pretty much ever. Now, while the newer TCGs are all releasing their print runs, Magic has never really done that. And so it's really interesting to see the difference in purchasing techniques and purchasing decisions from one game to the other. And that's definitely something we're going to talk about here. Alright, everyone, welcome back to the shop. Now that we've dropped off all the orders for the weekend, we had like 350 orders on TCG Player this weekend. Let's have a conversation about this Kamigawa stuff. It's kind of crazy to think about the print run numbers of Magic being in the ballpark of what Rudy has been talking about. And I always thought that it was much higher than that. But, you know, Rudy's going to have more information than anybody else on the internet. So that's what we're going to utilize here. Basically and essentially, the numbers that he kind of was throwing around combined to a total of around 650,000 boxes, about 125,000 collector boxes, and then around 250,000 of both draft and set boxes. And then he came back in the video and basically said it could be even less than that based on the online sales and the international stuff. Anyway, the long story short of this, and what for me, there's three main takeaways. Number one, I was surprised, but then as I analyzed it in my own local store, one of the things I think people forget about is that the number of people who buy individual booster boxes of Magic the Gathering is not equal to like one per player. At my store anyway, and this is kind of where I have to come from, the perspective that I have to come from, most people actually buy individual packs. That sells way more and way more often than full booster boxes. Now, you know, a lot of people will buy a booster box, and but I would guess that on a you know, in our community at least, maybe 1 in 3 people buy a new booster box of the newest set, and most people are just buying packs over the course of the last couple weeks. So people who buy boxes, predominantly in my opinion, are people who are on the internet. They're looking for the best deal. They are watching YouTube videos of alpha investments. They are in the Facebook groups and in the chats, and that number of people is incredibly small compared to the overwhelming player base of a community. Most people in Magic the Gathering, in my opinion, buy singles that they need rather than opening boxes of what they want for value. I would love to hear in the comment section, but the comment section is going to come from that online perspective, which in my opinion is always going to gravitate more towards opening boxes. So I think that that's one major difference, and that's a huge difference compared to other TCGs that I cover on the channel as well, where you have a lot more people who are investing, the early investors in boxes. You have a lot of more people who like to open cases and that kind of thing. That's a big difference from Magic the Gathering. I don't personally know anybody who opens a case of 6 of the new Magic the Gathering boxes, other than stores and myself. Like, I know nobody that does that, and yeah, it's just different. The second takeaway that I have from this whole conversation, the release of that, the first one of the 5 Magic the Gathering sets to sell over that price point, is that Magic is more collectible than I thought it was, and they are honing back the print runs more than I thought that they would. Double Masters, I think that they could print as many boxes of Double Masters as they want, and people would still buy them, initially, and you would have this kind of long-term maybe issue, but initially they would buy them, and they seem to be throttling back, and they seem to care, about what that market is looking like. Particularly like the super high-end cards, the super lottery cards, the super high-end chase cards. I'm thinking like going back to like Aether Revolt and Kaladesh and even like Amonkhet, like those cards, the neon cards from Kamigawa. The print runs of those are way smaller than I would have guessed those cards would be, and it's really interesting to take a look at that in the markets and just kind of evaluate how easy it would be to look at those markets. So definitely a cool thing, and definitely interesting to think of, like, is modern Magic more collectible than maybe we thought it would? And this goes over to like Pokemon. Pokemon's the opposite. People come in to buy boxes all the time. And they are collecting modern Pokemon. They are looking at it as a collecting thing. I don't particularly like modern Pokemon or think that modern Pokemon is collectible compared to like vintage Pokemon, but the people who come in and buy, that is their attitude. They think and they live in this world where modern Pokemon is collectible. And I wonder if Magic is gonna get that way, where people really consider not just ABU, Alpha Beta Unlimited, as like a collector piece, but they start looking at some of these newer, flashier variants as a collector's piece, as well as you kind of see the demographic of the TCG community changing in these lower print run stuff. So definitely super interesting to think, is Magic more collectible than I thought it has been, as I've always looked at it as like modern Magic is mostly just a game, and then sealed investment and sealed collecting exists for long-term, kind of slow investment purposes. But and then this is the final takeaway for me. Oh, we're gonna get to the different boxes in a future video. We're gonna talk about in a future video what I personally do in terms of investing in draft, set, or collector boxes. I think there's a really cool dialogue to have with that, and I think this conversation where we've seen now the some of the print run information come out, it leads into that really well. So we'll do that in a future video. So make sure you're subscribed and you're joining along with us. But here's the other thing. The last takeaway from this, Magic the Gathering is the biggest trading card game in the world in terms of player base and size of players. I think it probably is bigger than Pokemon. I think it's definitely bigger than Pokemon in that sense. Maybe not boxes sold or anything like that, but it's the biggest community of trading card game players in the world. And this number, 800,000 in, whatever it was, 100 million, sorry, in sales is way lower than I would have thought it would be for the biggest TCG marketplace. And to me, it just goes back to this idea, and I've said this on this channel oftentimes with previous games and previous conversations, that the TCG community is so small. And I would have thought that Magic would be making way more money and way more boxes. But to be fair, to be honest, I think the TCG community is just a lot smaller than a lot of us think that it is. We get so ingrained in it, we think it's the only thing in the world that matters. And I think less people play TCGs than we think they do. And that is why it is so important for you and I to welcome people into the community. I've said this before on the channel. I went into my first Magic the Gathering Commander night at an LGS once. I brought my Commander deck that I just built. I never played Commander before. I sat down at a table and I said, hey, anybody want to play Magic the Gathering? And people just like looked at me like I was a complete loser. Like, they didn't talk to me. I never went back to that LGS. I would have stopped playing Magic the Gathering forever had it not been for another group of people who invited me to come play. And, the TCG community is too small, and it's too small for you to not be inviting and encouraging and supporting of one another. So whether you are a Magic fan or a Pokemon fan or, a Flesh and Blood or MetaZoo or whatever, what is important is that more and more people are coming into this hobby, and it's important to be kind, and it's important to be inviting. It's important to help people build decks and not just spike tournaments. And this information that has come out has led me to believe, again, that the trading card game community is incredibly small, and that it's up to us as individuals in that community to really help games grow. And really, they're not that much bigger than we think. I know everyone thinks, Magic is this big giant corporate conglomerate, and it is because it's connected to Hasbro. But at an LGS level, at this level where people come in and hang out and play, at this level, it's a tiny industry. And so if you want things to succeed, you have to be willing to do some things to help it. Sorry, my camera died. If you want these things to succeed and your local communities to succeed, you have to be willing to do some things, to invite some people, to build some decks, to help encourage play, to ask your LGS owner, hey, is there anything I can do to help out around here? If you want these things to succeed, the community is really small, and it's up to you and I to create welcoming communities for people to enjoy these games in so that they want to come back. So remember all these things. I think the print run size is smaller than I thought. I definitely think that the game is more collectible than I thought. But at the end of the day, trading card games exist to help people come together and to interact with one another, whether that be online or in person. Hope you have yourself a fantastic day. Again, remember to be kind to the people around you. We'll be talking about a lot of this stuff on upcoming videos. Hope you'll subscribe and be along with the journey with us.